Well, time for another speaker's tip. Today, I want to talk about you as a speaker looking at the audience and getting cues from the audience for how well your speech is going. And the reason I'm talking about this has come up in the last 4 or 5 weeks with a lot of the people I'm working with, that they're in front of an audience and they're talking to them and they don't feel the audience is liking their speech. So they start to change their speech and they're trying to get the audience to like it. And they're starting to feel uncomfortable with their speech. And so they feel I need to do something different because the audience isn't reacting to my speech. Here's one of the things I've learned. The audience doesn't know what they look like. So because the audience is sitting out there going, they might be crinkling their brow, or they might be looking at you some way. They don't know what they look like. And very often they're enjoying your speech. And I've gone over this a number of times in different components on speaking. And one of the things I talk about is that if you're trying to get the audience to like your speech and say, well, I'll do my speech this way. Oh, they don't like it. Well, I'll do it this way. They don't like it. Oh, I'll do it this way. They don't like it. Who at that point is the author of your speech? You or the audience? Basically, you're trying to do what you think the audience wants you to do. And they're actually the source and the author of your speech at that point. I can't tell you how many times I've been in front of an audience that I thought was not responding to my audience, or excuse me, they were not responding to my speech. They didn't like it. And I got done and people came up and said, wow, that was incredible. Everybody in the audience enjoyed it. And I've learned this lesson over and over and over again. I'll give you a couple examples that had happened to me. Once I spoke in front of a large group it was a senior citizens group. And I was president of an international foundation that taught universal character and ethics values. So we had a little book called The Way to Happiness, and it had 21 chapters in it about love and help your children, respect your parents, don't steal, treat others like you want to be treated, fundamental values in society. And I was going through why it was so important to teach these, and the entire audience was wooden. By wooden, I mean, I thought I was talking to a room full of mannequins. And I was up there and I just kept pouring more energy into the speech and pouring more energy in the speech. And they were just sort of sitting there unemotional to what I was saying. I wasn't getting a nod. I wasn't getting anything. And I'm up there thinking, oh man, wrong audience. This is horrible. It's going badly. You start to think, I wish I hadn't taken this speaking opportunity. They hate me. And I came off the stage and sat back down at my table. I had probably no less than 20 people come over and saying, I need that book for my grandson. Can I have a copy of that? That was the best program we've had here in 10 years. I'm sitting there going, I wish somebody would have nodded. Okay. And another time I was speaking at an early morning Rotary Club, same subject at the time. And it was a 7:00 meeting, and I had like 5 or 6 round tables, a relatively small group in an audience. And there was a gentleman sitting right in the front table. And as I'm talking, he keeps going and looks at his watch. I get about 5 minutes into the speech, and he shakes his head and he looks at his watch. 10 minutes. He's like, I'm thinking, this is horrible. How much longer is this going to last? How much longer is this guy going to talk? Oh my gosh. And about 5 minutes before the end of my talk, he got up and walked out of the room. And I finished my talk, wrapped it up, and I went over to the president of the Rotary Club and I said, I'm sorry, did I say something that offended that man? And she goes, oh no, he's an attorney that deals with youth, and he has a court appointment this morning, and he was upset he couldn't stay and listen to your whole speech. But he said he'd stay as long as he could. So all of his shaking is like, I don't want to leave. How much longer can I stay? And I'm taking the cues as, this is horrible. How much longer is the guy going to speak? So the point is, you never know what your audience is thinking, and they don't know what they look like. So the important thing is that you own your message. You believe in your message. You have what I call your life energy embodying your message. And you're there to impact the audience. You're there to get your message across to the audience. Sometimes we have to tell an audience things they don't necessarily want to hear. But if we do it in a professional manner, we do it in a humble manner, we don't do it in a preachy, domineering manner that we're talking down to the audience on, assuming they're bad, but we're working to uplift the audience. We're working to give them whatever message we are to make them more informed on a subject, make them more capable to live their life. People will respond very well to it. But don't take the cues you're seeing in the audience as the people don't like it, they hate it, I need to get out of here. And I'll also tell you, I've had speeches where I've had the audience members smiling and nodding and smiling and nodding. At the end, they said people were really upset with what I said. So it goes both ways. Just because they're reacting positively, they may feel like, well, I'm being polite, I'm going to listen to this person. I will endure his talk. And you get off the stage and you find out that it actually upsets some people. Okay, welcome to planet Earth. Okay, we have Earthlings here, and they all have different opinions. But the important thing is we're making a positive mark out on the audience. We're giving them information, tools, inspiration, so that they can be uplifted and live a more productive, more successful life in whatever manner that we can. But they don't know what they look like. So they don't take the cues from the audience to start changing your speech. My recommendation is always just believe in your message and put the energy into the speech you need to put into it. And whenever I have an audience that I feel is they're not reacting, or I feel like they're not reacting positively to my speech, rather than backing off and trying to change what I'm doing, I have a tendency to put more energy into it to try to get the message across that I believe in and I feel is important to deliver to that audience. So my tip for today is simply this: the audience doesn't know what they look like. Know your speech, believe in your speech, and give that speech to improve the lives of the members of that audience that get to hear it. I'll see you next week.